Okay, so now I want to give a very general overview of what the program is all about, so that you can know, monitor where we are going and what we are doing. Now, full stack developer is all about having the skill of to develop the front end application plus the back end application. So the ability to do these two makes you a full stack developer. Now, the front end, which is what the user, the client, or the user of your product, what they will be seeing is the front end. If we go to, maybe, let me go to this tab. For example, this is the front side of any website. This is what we as a user we are seeing. Then we start clicking, going to the menu. For example, you can see discover menu, sports, play, and so on and so forth. Then, then we start doing our clicking, filling our forms, logging in, using our username and password, and so on and so forth. So that is the front end. And the front end is basically all about the browser. All about the browser, right? We use the browser to view any web page of our choice. For example, CNN.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, and so on and so forth.
Chemistry.
Now,
No.
for this front end, please mute yourself. For this front end, to be to exit.
See why open window now.
Please mute yourself, David.
See why. Okay.
Now, for the front end to exist, 3 skills are required: the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript. So these skills must be learned, and we are starting with the HTML. Now, where does the back end come in? Anytime you go to the browser, you do maybe any clicking, form filling and submission, you submit, it goes from this front end through the browser to the back end, which is your server, right? Now, when you are making a request, whether a GET request or a POST request, don't worry about all this terminology. With time, you understand that I'm only trying to give an overview of what you are going into. So your request goes to the server, which is which usually can also be referred to as the web host, where your website is hosted, to get a resource. And if this resource requires your business application, right, to go to the database to fetch data which it will need to respond back to you, it will do that. It will now respond, maybe requested CNN.com, for example, right? And for you to request this resource, there's need for maybe some data that needs to be uploaded here. So the database will be communicated, and those data will be kind of responded and used to kind of construct this resource, and then it will be sent back to the front end for you to view. So this is basically what is going on in
Uncle,
any web application. So, but right now we are looking at the front end. So having said that, we now go to,
Uncle,
yes,
could you go back to the annotations?
to the annotation. What's the question?
No, I just want to see the annotations because you're speaking a bit fast. And I was getting some points down.
You are doing what?
Pardon?
You said you are
I
getting
was
what?
getting notes down.
Oh,
I
okay,
was getting some notes down.
okay. What I was saying is this.
Well,
I'm just trying to give an overview of what you are learning. You are learning the front end, then the back end, right? Your front end is your browser, which talks to the back end, which is the server, and the server may request information from the database to update your request. Maybe you requested Facebook, for example. So Facebook will need some data to be updated there, and then the resource will be responded back to the browser. This is everything. To, if if um, if you are interested in the annotation, just wait for the recording, right? You can get the annotation from the recording. But if you have question, maybe that requires explanation, yes, then pause me. But for annotation, you can get that in the recording. And that is the reason why the class is being recorded. It's for referencing purposes. So I move on. Now, so we are concentrating on the browser, which is now the front end. Inside this browser, you have your HTML, you have your CSS, and your JavaScript. Everything they work together to kind of be presented to create the content that that you view on the browser. For example, what you normally the web app that you are familiar with, the Facebook, for example, consists of these three, right? HTML is the structure, right? While CSS is the presentation, the coloring, and so on and so on. The while JavaScript is the behavior, like you are trying to click on something, you are trying to mouse over on something, and so on and so forth. So that is what JavaScript is doing. But for a start, we are starting with HTML. Why are we starting with HTML? The reason is very simple. HTML, right, hosts the CSS and the JavaScript. So CSS is integrated into the HTML using the link tag. We are saying we will do the practical side of it, and the JavaScript is linked into the HTML using the script tag. So, and these three makes your website. So let us now proceed to HTML. What is HTML? HTML is simply the basic structure of web document, right? And it is what the browser understand, the language understood by the browser, and the full meaning is hypertext markup language. Hypertext, hyper, then text, the markup and language. So if you want to communicate with the browser, you need to understand this language, HTML. And the HTML basically consists of elements.
Billion.
13.
Please mute yourself. It basically consists of elements. And what are elements? Elements consist of the opening tag and its content with the what's it called, the closing tag. Let me clear the screen. For example, here you will see here, right here, that we have an element here. This is an element, and this element consists of one, the opening tag. You must open it, the opening tag, and also the closing. You close it, the closing tag. Then the text content, the content. So which simply means that when you are talking about elements, you are talking about three basic things: the opening tag, the text content, and the closing tag. And every element derives its name from the tag name. For example, this element now is called the H1 element, and this one is called the P element or the paragraph element, and so on and so forth. We have many others like the span elements, and so on and so forth. So this is an element. Please note the nomenclature, note the jargons. Anytime you see just this is not an element. This is opening tag. That is opening tag. Anytime you see this is not an element. This is a closing tag. Right? So when you are talking about an element, you are talking about the complete the complete how do I put it now? The complete HTML element, which consists of the opening, for example, H1, the content, then the closing tag. Now the question is it every element that must have this closing tag? No. We call them the self closing tags. For example, the image tag. The image tag is a self closing tag, and we use this symbol to indicate that yes, this is a self closing tag, instead of having something like this. Instead of having something like this, then the content, then you do image closing. No, this is not how to write an image element. This is how to write an image element. So I move on. Now, there are different types of editors that one can use. I'm not going through the historical of this because of our time. It is a crash course. So you can lay your hand on this document. I think it was shared some months back. So you can lay your hands on it and just revise on it. So we have discussed about the tag, and now the editor. Now we have different types of editor, but most of the basic one, the simplest one, is the Notepad plus plus or just Notepad, right? Notepad. So that's the simplest form of editor that you can use. Now we have complex one like the Visual Studio Code. And the reason why this is much better is because it provides what is called the IntelliSense. IntelliSense. And IntelliSense is all about giving you suggestions about what you want to type, and code completion. And it also gives you the ability to format your code, to run your code within the same IDE. IDE is simply called the Integrated Development Environment. An example of an IDE is the Visual Code, which already we know we have been using before now. This is an IDE. This is Visual Code right now. So, but the simplest form is the Notepad. I use Notepad++. Now, how do I use my Notepad to run a basic HTML? All I need to do is just to run this boilerplate. We call this boilerplate, right? Let me just copy it because of my time. I paste here, and once I have this boilerplate, you can see that it started with the doc type. The doc type is telling the browser that the document you are expecting is an hypertext markup language. So that the browser will know how to interpret it. Then you have the head section, which most of the time consists of the title, the links, the script, the meta tags, and so on and so forth. Then we have also have the body tag. Now, if I remove this title, I want you to see. I want you to see the HTML structure in its most simplest form. as you can see, right here, I'm trying to format it so that you can view it properly. Now you can see that you have the document type, which tells the browser that A, expect hypertext markup language. Then every other tag is enclosed in between the HTML tag. This you can see this HTML element. Everything inside here is the HTML element. If I want to write it in an horizontal manner, this is what you will see. I have the HTML, then I'll close it here. HTML. Then the content of this HTML right now, this content of it is now the head section. I close it. Then the body section. Then I close that also, as you can see. So this is HTML element. HTML element. Because this is the opening tag, opening. This is a closing, and this is a content. Any questions so far? No question. All right, so I move on. So this is the basic form. This is how the simplest it can get to, right? And like I said earlier on, within the head section, I can have the title tag, the elements, the title element. So I will say, welcome to, okay, let me just say HTML class. I close it. Then whatever content, for example, this website that you are viewing right now, all the contents you are seeing, they are written in between this body tag. So if I save this one now, if I want to run this on the browser, I will need to save it in a file name of my choice. I will give it a file name of my choice. The most important is that it must end with the .html, because it is this file extension. We call this one file extension. That is the file extension, right? So you must indicate the file extension. Very, very important. Now, if I want to save this right now, I will just say save as. Then I will go to a folder of my choice. Let me just say, okay, let me just put it. Okay, let me just put it here. Let me create a folder. So I will give it a name. Let me say index dot html. Please note, look at this save as type. I will need to change it to all types. The reason why I am changing it to all types is this. Some of you may not be using Notepad++. You can be using just Notepad, right? So you must change this save as type to all types. so that the file extension can be accepted or recognized. Now, because I am using Notepad, at times I don't need to include my .html. Why? Because Notepad already has the feature of selecting hypertext. Look at it here. You can see hypertext markup language. The moment I select this, it will automatically include the extension for me. So you can see, let me repeat it. Let me repeat it for clarity's sake. Before it was here, it was normal text. And the moment I give it a file name of index, all I need to do, because I am running Notepad++, I will come to the save as type. I will go and select HTML, hypertext markup language file. And the moment I do that, the extension will be included automatically for me. But
So, Bratola,
yes, sir.
please, can you also do this demo with Notepad itself? I have people coming to ask me questions when they see the difference between when you run with Notepad and when you run with Notepad++.
Okay.
It's
All right.
very important.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. I will do that. So now I will now save this and then I will now go to where I saved it. I know where I saved mine, which is under this new class. I will open the folder, then I will right click on it. But because I have a default browser, which is my Chrome, you can see that Chrome has automatically detected that this is a web page file. So for me, I can just double click, but for some, they have not configured their system to recognize this as HTML file. So I will just right click on it. I will say open with. You can see this open with. Then I can select any browser of my choice. I have all these browser installed on my laptop. The Firefox browser, the Google Chrome browser, the Internet Explorer browser, and the Microsoft Edge browser. So, but I'm going to use Google Chrome. So the moment I do that, I will come to the page. Now, the moment as you are looking at the page right now, you are seeing that it is blank. Why is it blank? Simple. It is because if I have not included anything within the body tag. If I come to the body tag now, if I just type maybe just welcome, let's see whether it will recognize it. Let me save it. I'll go back to the browser and refresh it. You can see welcome. Now, this is what I typed. However, it is not advisable for you to type just your string without putting it in a in a tag or an element. For example, if I want to put this in an element, I will say I can choose any element of my choice. Right now, I'm choosing H1 element, for example. So once I put it within an element, if I go back, save first. Once I save, I will go back to the browser. If I refresh, then I have that. Now, let me demonstrate this same thing using a notepad. If I go to, let me just open Notepad, just Notepad, not Notepad plus plus, Notepad. That. Sorry, this is Notepad. Now, I can also just copy and paste the HTML boilerplate here just to save time. Undo, sorry. So now I can also change the title to HTML class. Then remember, in the body, I must have the content. The content I am trying to get displayed in the browser. In this case, I want to display the content my first heading. Now, I will now save. I will go to File, Save As. Then, now I will give it a name. I will say index again. Okay, let me just call it index 2. Now, this is where the tricky part is. Look at the save as type. You will see that the file extension there is .txt. But what we want is the .html. So what we should do is this. We change it to all files. Select all files. Then you can see that the moment I select all files, nothing got changed in my file name. I will go to the file name and I will include the .html, which is the file extension. I repeat, I will include the .html, super important, and the save as type must be all files. Then, once that is done, I will now select where to save it. Just select a folder of your choice. I'm going to choose this same folder here. I'm going to click on save. But before I click on save, I must make sure that I still have my .html and the save as type is all files. I click save. So once I click save, then I can go to that folder, which is here. Remember, the first one we did was index, but now we are doing index 2. So right click on index 2 on your file, open with your choice of browser. In my case, I'm going to choose Google Chrome. I select Google Chrome and I should have my why is it not coming up? Hold on, please. Let me go back. Maybe I didn't click on it properly. Why? Where's my folder? Why? Okay, yeah, this one. New class. So right click on it, open with Google Chrome. So that is it. My first heading. If you remember this, okay, it's run actually. This was the first one that we did when I used Notepad++. Welcome. Now, this one is just Notepad. Any question on that, please? Any question on that, please? Okay, no question. Now, if you go to, let's go and use, because most of the time, this is what we are going to be using, the visual code. The visual code. Now, the visual code will come. Let me just open another instance of it. If I open another instance of it, this is what you will see. It's a blank page, right? So the next thing you need to do is to select the folder where you are working from. For example, if I go to my folder, this folder, and I create a folder in there, I will create a folder that's okay, index VC, Visual Code, just to differentiate it from the two previous one that we did. So I'll go back to my Visual Code. I will select File, Open Folder. Once I select that, I will go to the folder I created. In my case, I have it right here. So this is the folder, new class. So I will see this one, index underscore visual code. I will select that folder and open it. Now, the moment I open it, you will see that there's still nothing displayed. Why? Because it is just an empty folder. So right now we will start creating our file. Now I will come here, look at this. You can see the moment I over my mouse over the first one, you will see that it is new file. Then the next one is new folder, and so on and so forth. So, but I need a file. So I need to create a file. I will click on that. Then I will now give it a name. I will call it index.html. Remember, the file extension must be there. I will press enter. Now, look at what Visual Code has done for me. It has kind of included this logo, this icon rather, that yes, based on the file extension you are trying to do HTML. This icon is for HTML5. So the moment I have that one, then the IDE, the Visual Code, recognizes that yes, this is an HTML. Now, the Visual Code helps you a lot in terms of code writing. For example, just me typing HTML, the IDE gives me option. Is it HTML5 I want, or just HTML? I want the HTML5. The moment I click on it, it will generate the boilerplate for me. There's no need for me to start typing everything from the beginning. So you can see the head, you can see the body, right? And like I said earlier on, whatever content you want to be displayed on the browser, you need to write it inside the body element. First of all, I will change my title to HTML class. You can change it to whatever title of your choice. There's no hard and fast rule about that. So I'm going to write a tag here, a p tag. Then I will say welcome to HTML class. And once I have done that, I can come here to preview what I just typed in here. And as you can see, welcome to HTML. For you to run it on the browser, you can either copy this link, go to your browser, the browser of your choice, in my case, Chrome, and paste it there and enter. And you can see the content that I typed in. Welcome to HTML class. Any questions so
Sorry,
far?
sir, I didn't get the part where you brought out this output.
You mean
Did you get what I'm trying to say? Yes, sir.
let me close it again. Look at this icon
Sorry, sir.
here. Show preview.
Okay.
Aha. So you
Okay.
just click on it, or you can even right click on your file, right?
Okay, sir.
Here, there's a way, I think, let me see. Yeah, show preview. Can you see show preview here? Click on show preview.
Okay, sir.
it will show the same thing, right? Now,
Okay. Thank you, sir.
your visual code may not have what is called the live server. You can install it by going to your extension. If you come to extension, type live server, you will see one that is Microsoft, this one, this very one. Is it this one? Let me see. Let me click on this and see what. Okay, yes, this one. You now anytime notes, please. Anytime you want to install an extension, look at the number of installation. Look at this. This is 44 million. Yeah, it shows that people, or let me say, developers are using this extension very well. So that means that it is tested and trusted. So you can now install it. I have installed this before. That is why you are seeing uninstall. If you are yet to install it, you will see installed in here. Because I have it already installed. If I want to run on the browser straight up, it's all for me to come here, right click and open with live server. It will open the browser automatically for me, as you can see, right? But I still prefer using my show preview, because at times I may not want to go to the browser. As I'm typing, I'm seeing my changes. For example, if I include an H1 tag here right now, HTML class, as I'm typing, you can see it is being revealed automatically, right? So I can see what I'm typing. I can easily copy this and go to my browser, right here, and paste it just the way I did here. It's still the same thing. So there are many ways you can achieve your aim. Any question so far on this? Any questions so far on this?
Yes, sir. What's the purpose of the live server?
Yes, the purpose of live server is simple. It's just for you to run it directly on on the browser at the same time as you are making your changes, right? The changes are being reflected live on the browser. Now, okay, look at this. Okay, let me go back to this notepad. Let me go back to the notepad. Where is the notepad again? Okay, I've closed it. Okay, let me go back and open it. Let me go back to the folder. I open this one in. Oh, no, no, no. I will have to open it with notepad. Okay, it will not see it. Okay, I don't have notepad here. Okay, let me just go to the one I have, the notepad plus plus, to save my time. Now look at this notepad plus plus, right? If I make a change, for example, welcome to HTML class, right? And I will put a paragraph tag. I will say I am Tola, your facilitator. Close my tag. If once I save it, I've saved it. Now, if I go to the browser, I think I have it open before the very first one. This is the very first one. You can see that the changes I made inside the Notepad++ did not reflect automatically on the browser, I will need to refresh it here before the changes takes effect. But with a live server, okay, let me now run this one again. Let me go back to the visual code. Yes, this one. Let me close this one. If I do live server, right? Okay, I hope this is live server. Okay. So if I make any changes, any form of change, let's say, welcome to HTML class today, the 6th of February 2024. Let's go to the browser and see. You can see immediately the changes is reflected. I do not need to click refresh.
Okay.
Yes. So
Okay,
that
so-
makes it a live server.
Okay. Thank you.
So to preview here is more like the live server. This one too. It's like the live server, but it's just that I am seeing this right inside my IDE. I'm seeing the changes I am making. Yes. Any other question? Any other question?
No.
Okay. So we have about 7 more minutes. I don't want this class to last beyond 1 hour today.
Oh.
Yes. So now, are you asking question?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question, please?
No, I'm just saying that I thought it ended at 9.
You've got what?
I said that I thought that the lesson ended at 9.
Oh, okay. So now we've discussed this doc type. We have so many standards. The W3 World Wide Web Consortium. They are the one in charge of ensuring that standards are maintained in the web page environment. So, like for example, closing of tags, ensuring that certain attributes are included within the opening tag of an element. For example, in the image, they will advise you that best practice is for you to include the alt attribute and so on and so forth. We will still talk about that later. So now that is that about the structure of the HTML document. We have discussed this just now, and we have discussed the HTML elements and tags, and we have discussed the anatomy of HTML, and now the comments. Now, when we are talking about the comments, let's go to our browser, right? Now, as I am running this on the browser, I think this is live. I believe so. Let me test it. If I make anything change, let me just type gibberish there. See, okay, yes, I have it there. So now that is live. Now, if I type anything, just like the way I type gibberish now, I will see the same garbage on the browser. But there are times that you don't want the browser to interpret certain content. For example, maybe you want to explain to your team member, or you want to remind yourself in future what you were thinking about for when you wrote that code, because as most of the time as a developer, you tend to forget how your thought process was when you wrote that code. So if and you don't want the browser to interpret, to translate that part of your code, you use a comment. And how do you write a comment? Very simple. You open your tag, exclamation mark, dash dash, then whatever content you have here, dash dash, you close the tag. As you can see in the text that I just showed you just now, here, there should be a dash. The dash here is double dash here, right? Double dash. So let's practicalize that and see the effect of what we are talking about. Let's say I want to write a comment here that says that, okay, this is just an introduction class. Now, mere looking at this, you will see that the font color is totally different from the rest. If I go to the live server now, to the browser, you will see it is not interpreted. Let's prove it. Let's put another p tag here. P tag saying, or better say, let me put H2 saying lesson 1. If I go to the browser, you will see lesson 1 displayed. However, this is just an introduction class, never got displayed. I hope you get the difference there. So that is how you do your comments. Now in Visual Code, right, there's a shortcut that you can do. Once you click on that element, just do Control /. It will automatically comment that portion of your code. If you click on it again and you do Control /, it will uncomment it. If I want to uncomment this one now, yeah, I will just do comment /. And once I've uncommented, you will see that it is displayed in the browser. Excuse me, but I don't want that displayed. So I need to comment that out. If I go to the browser, it's no longer in there. Any question? Any question? No question.
So
Okay. I'm listening.
I said no, sir. No,
Okay,
sir. Like,
okay, no. Okay. All right. So the assignment for today is this. I want you to use a notepad. This can be either notepad or the ++. Create any content of your choice. But in the content, I want you to write something like myself, and just write myself as the heading. Then write something like just write something there that maybe this is my first HTML class. That is all I want to see. Write this using Notepad. Then if you have Visual Code, use Visual Code also. If you do not have Visual Code, install Visual Code. I want to see the two exercises in Notepad and Visual Code. The content can be the same. I don't have problem with that. All I want to see is your ability to create a simple HTML page using Notepad and Visual Code. Any question before we close for today?
So, can you say the homework one more time so I can like write it down?
Okay. I'm still going to post it on the WhatsApp group anyway, but let me restate the homework. Okay, let me go to a fresh page. So the homework is now in your homework. I want you to write myself. Then this can be H1 element. Make it H1 element. H1 element. Then a paragraph element, a P element, right? This is my first HTML class. Now, you write this content using one, the notepad. The notepad can be either ordinary notepad or the plus plus. Then two, visual code. If you don't have visual code installed on your system, please install it. It is free. You will see visual code. I think maybe community edition. It is free. Don't go and install Visual Studio. Visual Studio is premium, and and even in size is bigger in size than Visual Code. So Visual Code is very light, and I think is open source also. It's open source, so you can download it and install. So I want to
Sorry,
see.
sir.
Okay.
I think it's Visual Studio Code. Like, is there any difference between Visual Code and Visual
There is
Studio
difference. There is difference.
Code? Oh,
Visual Studio is heavier than Visual Code. Type Visual Code. Yes. Mhm.
because the one currently on my system is VS Code, and that's Visual Studio Code.
No,
Like,
if it is you said what is VS Code?
yeah, Visual Studio.
I think it's the same thing, Abi.
It's the same thing. Visual Studio
Yes,
Code
I
is
think
different
it's
from Visual
yes,
Studio itself.
yes.
So VS
Okay,
Code,
okay,
Visual Studio Code is
yeah, the
the same
one
thing
you
as
are
Visual
using now
Code.
is VS Code.
Exactly.
okay, sir.
It's the
Okay,
same
sir.
thing. So the code one is different from the studio one, right? That one is heavier in size. If you install it, it will work. No, I'm not saying it will not work, but it's just heavier in size. So why not go for the the lighter one? So you write this content using the notepad. I want to see it in both notepad and visual code. That is the assignment. All right. So let me stop recording.